Hi, how are you? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Irene Wairimo Musembi. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This afternoon, I'm delighted to have you around. And thank you so much for those of us who subscribed to my YouTube channel, those who have shared, those who have liked. I am saying thank you so much. I hope you are good and you are doing well. Today, I have a guest. It has been long since I brought you a guest. And this guest is very resourceful. I found him in the course of our duties in the office, and when we talked with him, I realized he's very resourceful, especially to young people. Today I want him to tell us who he is and what he's doing, and I want him to highlight so much about teenage pregnancy, because this is a problem in our society. In Kenya today, it is a challenge. So welcome, Elias. I'm happy to have you around. So you may introduce yourself, you tell us who you are, where you come from, and I know you are a young person, so they will connect with you. In this YouTube channel, by the way, this is where we meet Irene Musembi, Irene Wairimo Musembi. This is where I motivate, I encourage, I empower, I also teach and train the word of God. So today you are empowering them because you are talking to the young people, you are talking to the teenagers on what you do and what you are doing yourself together with the organization you are linked with. So welcome, Elias.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Irene. I go by the name Elias Muguna. I'm the founder and the managing director of Silver Youth Africa. Silver Youth Africa is an organization that basically is trying to target or rather work with the young people across the African continent, starting with Kenya, our country, and of course Nairobi, where we mainly reside. And Silver Youth Africa is an organization that has been working since 2015, an organization that is trying to address problems that are facing our young generation today. This is coming from things are changing. Things are not the way they used to be when a number of you were young people. But now the world is changing so much, and we have to come up with solutions that are actually able to address the challenges that are affecting the current young person. So Silver Youth Africa is an organization that is made up of young people to address things that are affecting the young generation. This is because young people are better understood by their fellow young people. So Silver Youth Africa, what we are doing is we are trying to work with the young people to address challenges that are affecting the young people. These, as Irene has mentioned, includes teenage pregnancy, drug and substance abuse, abortion, and so many other things, including crime, that is actually a very rampant thing as we speak about Africa. So Silver Youth Africa, as the word goes, save, we are saving a youth where in Africa.
Wow, wonderful, great. That's great, I'm happy to hear that. What made you begin this organization? What was the motivation behind it?
From my academic background, I'm a medic, and one of the things that we do is try to understand which are these problems that are affecting our society today. So Silver Youth Africa came as a result of, one, the things I used to see around me, the things I used that have actually even affected me as a person, things that I've seen people close to me go through. One of them being loss of probable their so-called good vision and life in future. How did it get lost? Because of things that affected them when they are young, because of the decisions that they made when they were young. One of them would be the uncontrolled sexual behaviors, uncontrolled things that people do, and also being left out when, for example, the world is changing so much, and as people move to the career side, they're actually forgetting their role as parents at home.
Okay.
They're actually forgetting their role as role models in the society, because they are so much focused in making money, delivering at their workplace and doing the academic stuff. So at the end of the day, the young people are left out. So Elias and the team aim to get out of the comfort zone and go out there and ask, then what can we do to change things? So that's how Silver Youth Africa came to be born. And the name SAVE came as a result of looking at the problems that are affecting our young generation, and specifically in Africa, because Africa, one, poverty is very high. There's a very tiny percentage of people who are doing it, who are doing well in life. And as a result of that, poverty is leading young people into measuring into very many, risky behaviors. Some of them includes, doing things to earn money, to earn a living. So sometimes we have to appreciate, or rather agree that, we are people of different economic status. There are those that are not able to buy sanitary pads. So what do? Some of them will engage in some risky behaviors to, to get money to buy a sanitary pad. So Silver Youth Africa came as a result of all those problems that are affecting our young people, and we found it very, very important that we come up with a way of creating, in health we call it safe space.
Oh, safe space.
That means safe space is a place where young people can come together and they speak out about themselves, about things that are affecting them, without fear of being stigmatized. So Save Youth Africa created that space for them, where they are able to talk about themselves, talk about the problems that are affecting them, and also suggest things or solutions to those kind of problems. So Save Youth Africa is there to create that kind of space to the young people, that kind of an opportunity to the young people, and also now to voice out the problems of the young people to the policy makers and to other people who would like to take part in developing the young person today. Yes.
Okay. And when they voice, now, from there, what happens? If today you meet with this youth, they talk with you, they give you their ideas, what happens?
I'll talk over quite a number of projects and initiatives that we've had so far. We have quite a number of programs that we are running, and one of them is what we call alternative rite of passage. This is meant to address the likes of FGM, the female genital mutilation, which is affecting quite a number of communities in our society today. This is because when young people, especially, let's look at the young boys. And the young boys are changing, or rather growing to adulthood. They pass through a certain stage, rite of passage. Now, one of the questions is that, the girl child would also like to ask themselves, now, at what point do I turn to be, from a girl to a woman or to an adult? So we found out that, there are things that, we are supposed to come up with something that these people are able, rather, let's have the young girls come together, be taught about how to become, an adult, what to expect in the future. Because this is one of the reasons as why some of these things like teenage pregnancy is happening. Because at no point are you exposed, or rather taught, or rather given an idea of what to expect in the near future. And one of the things you'll agree with me is that, when most girls join universities, a number of them were very well-mannered girls at home. When they join the university, they meet another group of people, young people with so many expectations, and people who are doing so many things that are not controlled.
Just wait a minute there. There's something you have said about rite of passage. At what point is a girl now transitioning from childhood to now womanhood? So at that point, that's where you are saying you step in. You step in. How do you do it? Before we go to university, now we want that transition. Because even as I was growing up, I kept on hearing girls, they've been taken somewhere. Good enough, my mom never took me anywhere. But I had, and I kept on wondering, at what point a girl becomes mature? Because mostly our parents will never talk to us. They leave it to the teachers. And even in my channel, I keep on reminding parents, it's their responsibility to bring up their children. Us, as teachers, we help them. We just compliment whatever they do. So it is their responsibility. So at what point and how do you come in yourself? You can even highlight some of the projects you've done. Yes.
Okay. when, for example, young girls are leaving primary school and they're joining high school, one thing in primary school, majority of the young girls are very young and they belong to a group of what we call early adolescents.
Yes.
Very young. Nothing much is happening, but something is just about to happen. Now, Silver Youth Africa, at that point in time when they are leaving primary school to join high school, we have a program that I'm calling ARP program, Silver Youth Africa ARP program. It's a program we've been doing for the last 3 years. We've graduated quite a number of girls through that program in Meru County, and we are doing this in partnership with the Catholic Church, because these girls are brought together. They are taught things that are likely to affect them as they move out there.
Okay.
Sometimes it's good to have more information coming from other people apart from the information that you receive from your own parents.
Wow.
You tend to believe it more when other young people are telling you some of these things, and because sometimes there's like a feeling that when girls are young, they tend to believe that what their parents are telling them, they have never gone through it themselves.
Yes.
And one of the things is looking at how, for example, the technology is changing today, and the kind of exposure that the young people, the young children are getting, the number of smartphones that these children are having. Looking at, for example, the current career parents, these career parents might have or feel that by providing their children with some advanced technology, the gadgets and the smartphones and some even have Wi-Fi at home.
Yes.
Now, what is happening is that young people, in the process of learning and trying to know, get to be exposed to so many things. Now, as Silver Youth Africa, one of the things we do in this program is to tell these people, this is what you are likely to see there,
Yes.
and this is what happens if you do this.
Wow.
So this information is coming from a young person to another young person. Now, Silver Youth Africa is the people whom we work with, are young people who have progressed, or rather can be classified as having performed or being role model in the society.
Okay.
A number of them are medical doctors, a number of them are engineers, because these are people who have graduated from the university, and also those that are doing some particular courses in the university. And there are people whom we try to create like a community of people who are mentoring and mentoring one another.
Wow.
So when these young girls come together, there are those who will tell you, I would like to be a doctor. Now, what we'll do, we'll connect all those that would like to do, let's say, medical courses to a mentor who is in the medical field. So during this 1 week of seclusion,
Okay.
part of the things that are being taught is career guidance.
Okay.
Number 2 is the risky behaviors. Number 3 is how to be a good person in the future. And 4, the role of the church as a young person is growing. So this is we cannot run away from the fact that we are Africans. And the African culture and its way of life.
Yes.
And that's why things like these so-called traditional practices like female genital mutilation are there. Now, a way of fighting is, or rather working with the community, is coming up with something that is not having the cut, but then it is trying in one or the other to bring the role that is supposed to be there of mentoring the young person to be a more advanced and a more responsible person in the future, to know what to expect, to guide people about their careers, and to show them their role as far as the development of the community is concerned. It's also a way of making the young people realize that it's not time to fight with their parents. It's time to work with their parents.
Wow, that is beautiful. I like what you have said, that anytime a young person is hearing from another young person, they accept it very fast. In one of my classes, by the way, I teach Sunday school and teenagers.
Yes.
So in one of my class, I asked them, how come you tend to believe your friends more than your parents? They gave me 2 reasons.
Yes.
One, mom and dad will be very judgmental. Very judgmental.
Yes.
2, my friends we tend to think they are right because we are experiencing the same thing. They can connect with me very well. That's why I'm willing to listen to them. And I think when you fill in that gap, it's going a long way to the community.
True.
Because what's happening, if a young person like you, you are talking to another young person, they'll tend to listen even better than listening to me. Again, you talked about these projects you've done in Meru County only, where you come from.
That's where we started from.
So, have you done it elsewhere?
Actually, we are advancing it. In Meru County, we are trying to start off from there because there was another program that the church was doing there.
Okay.
So we came in as professions in that field to give more info, and then we took it up, and now we are doing this together with the church. It's something we are trying to bring on board even to other. We are currently working in 5 counties, and so we are bringing this not just in Meru County but also to Nairobi and Kiambu.
Which counties? You said 5?
Yeah. We are working in Meru County.
Okay.
There's Kiambu, there's Machakos, there's Nairobi, and Kajiado.
Oh, Kajiado. And Kajiado, you know, is highly affected by FGM.
Actually, that's why I did my research of FGM.
Okay, what did you find? I'm interested. Let me hear. Just a bit.
Yeah, Kajiado County, specifically, a place known as Mashuru. Mashuru is a very remote area, and in terms of advancement, the area has been left out in so many things. Okay. And what I found out is that, FGM, especially in this period of COVID-19, was being used as a way of, earning an income to the family. One way, the traditional circumcisers were doing that as a way of raising money. And 2, the parents, the children, were looking at it from the perspective of, if my girl has undergone the practice, she is able to attract more dowry. So that way this family is able to earn more income. Now that was the thinking of the community. And one of the recommendations that came as a result of this kind of a study was now coming up with programs that will make the parents feel, yes, their girls are matured, but then we've eliminated the aspect of the cat and those other weird things. So we do this in a modern way, that is, let's talk with these people in terms of developing them, making them more responsible in the community, not in the name of, we want to have the girls go through the cat and all those kind of things. So my proposal and the thesis itself actually came at a time when even the country is actually focusing on eliminating FGM.
Sure.
And one of the recommendations, and this is a project that is being done by the First Lady herself, of advocating for alternative rite of passage as a way of eliminating FGM. Because FGM, as much as people don't talk much about it, it's something that is actually happening. And not unless people who have gone to school, people who have been exposed, talk about it, and being role model and telling the community, this thing is dangerous, this thing we need to talk about it, that thing will continue killing that girl child back in the village who has no one to take care of them.
Let me ask you, I remember one of our legend, this Reverend Joya, has written a book on FGM, which is quite good. And let me ask you, is it happening in Nairobi? Because I've always thought it's in areas, remote areas. Is it happening in Nairobi?
I would say the percentage is
lower.
Very low.
Okay.
Very low. But there's one thing that is happening, inter-county movements, where people are moving from one place to another. And when you move to that other place, sometimes you tend to be like a stranger in that region. You might have come from Nairobi, you are taken to Kajiado, probably you buy some land in Kajiado, you build there, you are living there. And then sometimes to integrate with that community, there are things that you might find yourself getting into. It's not because you wanted to, but because they are happening around you. But now the role that this kind of movement is supposed to play in a positive manner is when you go to some place, try to link with those people, not to fight with them, but also to show them how to, uh, change their way of
From
life,
thinking and
their way of thinking. So that sometimes when you go and tell people what you are doing is bad directly, they will fight you. So you have to be very keen on how to approach this, because at the end of the day, if you fight them or fight their culture, they'll fight you and they'll get you out of that place. So the best way to do it is to work with probably the church,
Yes.
to work with the schools around the area, to work with all other institutions and even the local authorities. You speak out, you teach people, you educate them on various things that affect them.
Okay.
This way you'll be a light to that community, not like you are going to fight them, but you are helping them address their problems in an indirect manner.
Okay, this is good. And now, I know my audience would like to know, how do we fight with this FGM from where we are, like in the church? How can the church come in and assist in eliminating FGM?
One thing I would say, the church is actually the voice of the community.
Okay.
The church is actually the place where people go to get hope.
Mm-hmm.
The church is the place where people can come together, not being forced to come, but are here because they want to address some of the things that are affecting them.
Mm-hmm.
The role of the church as far as this thing is concerned is one, speaking out. Telling people this thing is there.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, inviting professions in the medical field to teach people about the role of FGM as far as, what is making them, what's the negative, outcomes of FGM. The church can organize events like the one that we are doing in Meru with the Catholic Church, where young girls are coming together. They are taught about FGM and how it can affect their life, and then also introduced into the next phase of their life. So the church has a very big responsibility. And the other thing about the church is that young girls also come to church.
Sure.
They can be taught from the church.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that the church is, we say that the family is the unit of the church. They started from the family, then they went to the church. So the church is like, these families are coming together. And there are people who don't go to the church, but they also belong to that community. We should not leave them out and only work with the people who are coming to church. So there is a responsibility for the church to walk out and talk to people at the community level. Tell them, guys, this is what is affecting our children, this is what we are going through, and there's a need to, because the other day we've had instances where even people have gone to the corridors of justice trying to legalize FGM.
Yeah.
That thing has happened, and as a church we have a responsibility to tell people, as much as some people are claiming to do so much, and they want to make some things that we don't believe in, be legalized. This thing is not good.
So what you are saying, the church should come out strongly and condemn it.
Yes.
Yeah? Rather than just assuming things are good and we are going to heaven, but we condemn it.
Good.
Wow.
The other thing I would also like to mention, there's some studies have been done, and there's what we call the mental problems that are associated with FGM victims.
Okay.
So the church also has a role of trying to identify people who have been affected by these things psychologically, and being, try to bring them back into the living world. Because some of them feel like they're, you realize when you're going to give birth that, a doctor looks at you and they're like frustrated, and they're like, then you wonder, am I not normal? This thing is happening. And one of the things, or the outcomes of this is that this person gets depressed.
Yes.
So as the church, there's a responsibility that the church has of trying to do counseling, trying to be the psychological guide of such people who have been affected by FGM. Because some people just found themselves having been, gone through the practice, but they didn't know, because this thing happened when they were very, very young.
And some of them, they are also forced.
Yes.
They are also forced. I used to read some books, especially for a certain author, I can't remember, Kureti or somebody. And he would explain how some of the girls would be forced at night to go and do that. And some of them, they were not happy about it. I've read some people even running away from home. And it is happening even now. You know, sometimes we think those are stories, but it is even happening in the current world. So, world. So what I'm saying, I think what you're doing is very good. And I would like you also to highlight about some of the effects of FGM to our girls. Because most of the parents, they think it's a cultural thing and we have to do it. The uncles say it has to be done. Everyone, the community, and you know there are those elders in the society, in that community, it has to be done.
It has to be done.
Yes. So what are some of the effects? How are girls affected by this thing?
FGM affects these people in so many ways. Medical-wise, the breeding itself is so obvious that through this breeding, some people even lose their life. Number two, the scaring during the process of healing. This scaring, at the point of giving birth, it becomes one of the biggest challenges. And as some of you might know, FGM is 4 types. And depending the type that one went through.
How many types?
There are 4.
I didn't know.
There are 4, and depending on the type that you went through, the effect that it has on you will be different from the other person.
Okay.
So those who are going through the very dangerous one, those are the people who are even likely to die when they are giving birth. The process of healing is a trauma by itself.
So they get affected at the point of giving birth.
That is point of one. The process itself.
Okay.
You know, when, for example, you've mentioned of people coming for you at night and they are taking you for, you know, you can imagine that a child being taken and, you know, for a process that they don't even know what's happening to them, and psychologically what will happen to this child as they grow up. And 2, the other effect is when this person has gone through the cut, majority of them, it's like they are being prepared to get married.
Okay.
So as a result of FGM, we have things like early marriages.
Okay.
As a result of FGM, we have things like teenage pregnancy. As a result of FGM, we have what you call sepsis. Sepsis is where you get an infection as a result of going through the cut by use of things that are not sterilized. You know, the knife, sometimes the people who are doing this thing are not medics per se.
And most of them, they are old men and women. We respect them, but, excuse me.
Yes. So these people who are doing the practice do not really have, you know, I'll call it a proper, you know, training, medical training. And I know you might not know this, but there are also doctors who are doing FGM.
No.
Yes.
Elias, you're joking around. Why?
There are doctors who are doing FGM.
In Kenya?
FGM, to some extent, has been commercialized. When something is being fought, it attracts a lot of money to the people who do it. When something is being illegal, and you do it, it attracts a lot of money. So there are doctors who are doing the practice, because one, this particular parent has come from a community that practices FGM, but this parent is somehow educated in both, and they feel, yes, the process is not as good, but I also want my girl to go through the process. So what do they do? This, one of the trends or other things that are coming up is the medicalization of FGM, where now FGM is being done, but now in a facility, or being done by someone who has been trained as a medical doctor.
Okay.
So
like yourself, eh? You decide to do it.
Yeah, you see, it's a minor surgery. So people go there and, you know, you do like a surgery. In some developed countries, FGM is being done even as a, we call it beautification practice.
Okay.
So FGM is not just in Africa, it's not just in our local communities, it is even in the Western communities, the Western countries. So talk of Nairobi, I don't think Nairobi is more advanced than say and those other places that so FGM is there, but it is hidden. If people were to come out and say
it is underground,
yes, it is happening because you know, in 2011 the Kenyan government meant it's illegal to practice FGM. In I think 2020 or something, during the ICPD 25 that was happening in the ACC, the president himself spoke and said that he wants to make sure that FGM comes to an end by 2022. We are already in 2022.
And it is not yet over.
It is not yet over. The WHO are targeting to end it in 2030. Now, if something is attracting all this attention, it means everyone should come out and talk about it. Because as an African society, if we don't talk about it, it will continue killing our members of the society. Probably your children are not going through it, but do note, there are other children who are going through it. So let's be advocates for that child who has no one to speak about them. Let's be advocates for that child who is at the local community who has been forced to get married. Because as I said earlier, when you undergo FGM, you are perceived to be an adult and ready for marriage. So this is leading to early pregnancy, leading to early marriages, and these are some of the things that we as Save Elias Africa have to address. Because we are not only dealing with FGM, that's just one thing, that we are dealing with. Our major thing is teenage pregnancy. But addressing teenage pregnancy...
Just a minute. Before we go to teenage pregnancy, I got interested about FGM, by the way. I feel so bad when I know our girls out there. They are suffering in the hands of parents, in the hands of strangers, but no one to talk about it. And I think that is a very good thing you are doing. You are trying to speak it up. And that's why even we are here also, because we are also communicating. This is not right. Even you as a parent, you need to understand the effects of this FGM to your daughters. And again, we have alternative ways. Like he said, the church, the religious organization coming together and training our girls on alternative means rather than undergoing FGM. Very, very good there. I think I am happy to hear what you are doing. This is great work. Now come to teenage pregnancy. That's another passion I have. I don't know whether we have time, but we can take 10 minutes. Talk about teenage pregnancy. The other day, I think on Thursday was, today's 11th, on 9th, there was an article in the paper. I get attracted anytime I see articles affecting teenagers and youth. So when I read the article, it was talking about the exposure our children are undergoing because of the e-learning. They are learning through the phones of their parents, the tablets, and in the process, you know, there are those porn that pops up every now and then. And since the guys who connect with pornography, they know children, they are online, they attract them. And as a result, that has brought about early pregnancy, teenage pregnancy, because they get interested in this small video that has just come in. So speak about it, and how can we tackle it from a church perspective, the country, and also as parents. By the way, let me tell you, parents are frustrated because you can't sit down there with your daughter throughout the day. You need to go out. How are you going to handle this?
Talking of teenage pregnancy, there are two things that come along teenage pregnancy. There's teenage pregnancy in terms of carrying a child to the point of delivering the child, and there's teenage pregnancy where the child is not carried to the head. I'm talking about abortion.
Okay.
So the child can be pregnant. One is that child who will carry the pregnancy to the end, and there's that child who will be assisted by their own parents to go and abort. It's something that is happening. It's something that people don't talk about. people talk about that child whose pregnancy has been seen.
Okay.
Now, there are more children or there are more young people who have aborted, and there are actually more than those that we've seen deliver at the end of the day.
Okay.
So, all I'm saying is, let's speak out in terms of how do we prevent this thing from happening in the first place. Because some of the parents are there as reactors. It happens, and then after happening, some of them are the ones who are teaching their children on how to abort. I can't afford to have my daughter being seen carrying pregnancy because that is going to tarnish the name of this family.
Okay.
As a result of that, what do? Instead of being there and doing something good, it's like you're advocating for something even worse than what you had undergone. It's true, yes, the child is pregnant, but then introducing this child to abortion, is it a better thing to do? No. It is true the child was pregnant. Whether it's you only who knows it or the whole community knows it, the child was pregnant. But you going along and assisting the child to abort, actually, it's a crime.
Sure.
You should be jailed. Because what you've done to this child is you've taught them that if this happens, there's a remedy.
A remedy there.
Yes.
Wow.
If this happens, don't be afraid. There's a way out. That's what you are doing to the child indirectly. Now, if you are the one who took your child to a medical person to assist procure an abortion, then you've already taught your child where they are supposed to go in the event they do this and this happens. So this is something that we need to talk about.
Sure.
This is another, and that's why I started by saying that Save Youth Africa is the voice of the voiceless. It's the voice that will speak about those things that people don't talk about and they affect us.
They affect us on day-to-day basis.
Yes. Now, allow me to mention something small about infertility. One of the causes of high rate of infertility as at now is the things that happened to young people when they were young. Someone procured an abortion when they were young. They did it over and over again. Now, it comes a time when this person actually needs a child, but they cannot get a child. I don't want to be very medical in this and give all the details.
Yes.
But it's good to note that some of the things that are being done when people are very young are the things that are coming to hit them when actually that time comes. You need a child, you are struggling to get a child. Then you wonder why. If you go back, some of the people should be able to connect, what was happening and why is this happening. So teenage pregnancy, we cannot talk about it without mentioning abortions.
And let me ask you, you see some parents, because the fear, you talked about the fear, how will the community perceive me? How will the church, could be I'm a very good member of a church, how do you assist parents to understand this is a problem and you have to tackle it the way it is? You support the girl. What would you tell the parents at that point?
I would say there are two things. In life, there are things that happen and you have to act whether you want it or not.
Yes.
And there's things that you're able to control, but if they happen, you cannot run away from them.
Sure.
Now, the major thing is to prevent this thing from happening in the first place. That's the best thing you can ever do.
You prevent.
You prevent it from happening. Now, what if it happens? Because I believe that a number of parents have actually done their part. But then also, the world is changing, as you mentioned, the e-learning and the exposure. and the community and, you know, education and all these things are happening around us. Now, if it has happened, one thing I would condemn is assisting to abort.
Sure.
But then, you have to show your child that this is not the end. Yes, this child is pregnant. Yes, no one expected it to happen, but it has happened. It is the high time to take it as a, there's a one that is coming, a phrase actually that is happening currently. They are calling it, you know, character development.
Yes, character development.
No, character development is also affecting our children. Now,
Expand on that.
now, character development is where you are the who you are because of what you've gone through. So the person you are today, now character development is taken from you know, something bad happened in your life.
The experience, yeah?
Experience, what you went
what
through.
they say that, whatever, you have learned through your mistakes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Someone has taken you through a lot, and now you are a different person. So people ask you, Irene, why are you the, what made you the person you are today? Why is it that you are making some very tough decisions in life? And some people will speak out and they'll tell you, before I became the person you're seeing me, I went through this.
Yes.
Now, if a child is pregnant, they are going through character development.
So parents, listen, if your daughter is pregnant, it's character development.
It has happened, but now, should you condemn? No, because it has already
But
happened.
we react, we are annoyed.
It is the high time that you know, you engage professions in that field to assist.
Okay.
You see, it is normal to be frustrated because no one expected this to happen. But then, your first reaction matters a lot. And your continued actions will speak a lot to the future of this child. She is pregnant, yes. But then, is that the end of life?
Let me ask you, Elias.
Yes.
Today, I don't have daughters. But today, my son tells me, comes and tells me, assuming I have a daughter, I am pregnant. Will I come to her?
No.
So, what do you expect me to do as a mother? Now I'm talking on behalf of parents. Excuse me.
It's normal. Obviously, you won't be happy.
Yes.
You won't shout it out and tell the community, oh yeah, my child is la la la, I'm expecting to be a grandma. No.
Yes.
But then, remember also, this is a child with another child. Have that in mind as you make any move. This is a child carrying another child.
Okay.
Now, it's like this child expect an answer from you. They know they have messed. Not that they don't know. They know they have messed. But then, there's a program we have in Save Our Youth Africa known as Teen Moms Program.
Or Teens Moms
Yes.
Program. Okay.
We do it in partnership with Mole Children's Family. The one in
I know,
Machakos.
the one in
Yes,
Machakos.
yes. We
Yeah.
have a program that we run with them. They have housed quite a number of teenage mothers there with their children. These are children who have been caught having, some of them were chased away from home by their parents. Others were found in the street as chokoras and all that. So they have been kept there for this kind of a program where they are schooling and they are still taking care of their children from there.
Okay.
Now, as a parent, probably you are capable enough. You don't need to chase your child away from home.
Yeah.
That is one. Number two, the fact that this child got pregnant doesn't mean that's the end of life.
Sure.
So one thing you're supposed to do is be a very good, understanding parent. This is the high time that you try to be emotionally mature as a parent, and take it up and raise your child in a very mature manner. They have messed and they know it.
Yes.
But then by chasing them away from home,
It doesn't help.
you've messed them completely. So if you listen to the stories and the information that we get from those children who are housed in that particular children's home, they'll tell you a lot that's what they had to go through. But now, when they actually, after going through the program, and they graduate, and they are also, the institution as a school, they're taught a college is also there. So when they leave that place, a number of them even comes out to be, medical doctors, engineers, and whoever. Now, what's funny, the same parent who chased them away from home, when they realize that you are doing well, they want you back.
Exactly.
Now, parent is not good.
Talk to the parents on the camera. Some of them are listening.
No, it's not good. You chase them away from home, and when they become successful members, you are recalling them back. The thing is, take it up. Yes, I know someone very close to me, a 17-year-old who got pregnant, and she did a KCPE the other day, and she scored some good marks, and she was asking me, Elias, I know there's something you're doing about us. How do I get assisted? Here I am with a small child. Will I join school? My answer was yes, you're supposed to join school. Now, as a parent, you're supposed to be a role model, one. Both the small child who is now a parent, and also as a role model to the community. So more about teenage pregnancy. Why are we fighting teenage pregnancy? What is it that actually has made this topic to be a very key thing? For example, during the period of COVID-19, we've had, there are a lot of reports from the government that is talking about the number of girls who have been exposed to teenage pregnancy. Now, what is causing teenage pregnancy? That's another thing we need to really be keen, because there's no way we are able to prevent it if we don't know the cause. What is the exposure that the young girls are being introduced to, and how it is leading to teenage pregnancy? And one of them is the scenario that a very common thing, an instance where poverty is rampant within the community. And this poverty is leading to a scenario where the young people are being the breadwinners of a family. And in such a case, you find the young person going out of their way to try and earn a living for the family. As a result of it, this particular person might do some of things like commercial sex workers. And actually, very young girls are being introduced to this. The other thing, and this is very bad, is where their own family members are the fathers to these,
to their children.
The children to be born.
Through incest.
Yes.
Okay.
It's very common, and in most cases in the African setup, they try and address this from a family perspective. We've had cases where even to some extent the government saying that all the chiefs will be responsible for any teenage girl who is found in their area. Now, what does that talk about as far as our community and how we interact with our children is concerned? Now, the so-called modern community is also a very dangerous thing, where we believe to be so modern to an extent that some things have become like, the young girl interacting with their uncles and other people within the community, their own family, their cousins, and at the end of the day, some of these family members are not responsible enough. So what they are doing is they find themselves, getting interactions with these young children. Instead of being mentors and modeling them well to be responsible members of the society, they are coming out to be the people who are causing this. The other thing is the aspect of, some people are trying to, especially those who are coming from poor backgrounds, sanitary pads, where there is a sex for pad. So, yes, so it's a common thing, it's happening because the menstrual health has not well been addressed. And to some extent, young girls who are coming from a very weak background find themselves, going through these kind of things to get sanitary pads. As a result of that, some of them get pregnant along the way. The other thing is about drug and substance abuse. Drug and substance abuse is also a very key player as far as teenage pregnancy is concerned. Talking of drug and substance abuse, we cannot leave out alcohol.
Yeah.
So you've had scenarios and instances where people are going for parties. So during the party, the so-called, the interactions and the things that will happen there, teenage pregnancy also can come as a result. So there are several things that, one key thing is, as a parent, you have a very key responsibility of making sure that you are within the development stage of your children, so that you are cautioning them against some of these things and how they can lead to some of the things you've talked about.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I think I'm excited to have you around. Whatever you have discussed is quite important, and it is affecting our nation. It is affecting homes. And as you've said, that we as parents, we're supposed to walk with our children. And in case they are pregnant, we don't throw them out. We embrace them and we walk with them, the journey. So thank you so much. I don't know what is your parting shot.
Thank you so much. I would say that today we've just introduced. There's so much we can talk about.
Yes.
There's so much that some of the things we just mentioned them from just touching
From the surface.
from the surface.
Yes.
So moving forward, we'll be having more of these interactions, and I should be able to give people more details on how to address these problems and how to prevent them from happening in the first place. And so there are so many other reproductive health-related issues that affect our young people, and we will be talking about them in the near future.
Okay, thank you so much. I say may God bless you so much, Elias, for that. The work you are doing, it's so good. I don't know whether you have a YouTube channel. Do you have one?
We do not have a YouTube channel for now.
No, you should have one. You're doing excellent work. Save a Youth Africa. Save a Youth Africa. Sire. And you, I think you can also give your email address or even your phone number, because again, could be there's someone out there who would like to reach to you for assistance for any discussion. Yeah, you can give out your...
Our Save a Youth Africa email is saveayouthafrica@gmail.com. saveayouthafrica@gmail.com. You can reach us via phone number 0720 3016. 0720 3016. So Save a Youth Africa, we speak about the youth as the voice of the youth.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you so much. May God bless you so much. I'm happy to know that there are people who are doing something for their youth, because you are a youth yourself.
Yes, I am.
You are a youth. So I'm very happy to know that there's someone else who is doing. Myself could be, I'm doing something different from what you are doing, but at the same time, we are doing almost the same thing, because we are targeting the same group. I target the teenagers and the youth. So thank you so much for the information you've shared with us. In case of any query, don't shy away from calling them, don't shy away from writing to them. For me, thank you. God bless you so much. This is Irene Musembi YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe, remember to share, thumbs up, and you like. God bless you so much. Shalom.